Hey guys, welcome back to week 47 of the MIT Challenge, which is to learn MIT's 4-year computer science curriculum in 12 months without taking any classes or even being enrolled at MIT. So today I want to talk about focus and concentration. A lot of students write to me saying, they'd like to be studying better, but they just have a really hard time focusing when they're studying. And I'm going to give 2 tips today which you can use to improve your focus and concentration. The first is the difference between active and passive tasks. So active tasks are like doing problem sets, programming projects, anything where you're doing something and your mind is very engaged. And passive tasks are things like reading or watching lectures, where you're kind of letting information flow over you, but you're not actually doing something. And one of the big things that I've learned is that active tasks are much easier to concentrate on than passive tasks. You might have known this in yourself. If you're doing a difficult problem set, you may find it boring or frustrating or challenging, or maybe you want to give up because it's tiring, but you generally don't have that much trouble concentrating. It just might be difficult. Whereas if you're reading a 1,000-page textbook, it's very easy for your mind to wander and for you to stop focusing on what you're actually doing. Now the key is that if you can make the passive tasks more like the active ones, you can improve your concentration naturally. So that's one of the reasons I suggested in the last video is that I take notes when I'm doing textbooks, because then taking the notes, in addition to helping me sort of focus on the ideas and learn it better, it also makes the task more active so I can concentrate better. And that's something you can think about doing. Whenever you're doing a task and you're getting distracted, ask yourself, how can you make it more active? How can you make it more engaging, sort of more demanding on your mental faculties as a way of improving your concentration? So that's the first tip. The second tip is that concentration, a lot of people think of this as this fixed attribute. So either you're good at concentrating or you're not. And now there are people who have conditions, and I think that there's different sort of medical terms for people who have different varying natural levels of concentration, so that's not entirely inaccurate. But concentration is also a skill. So just as some people are naturally more muscular than other people, that doesn't mean that you can't make yourself stronger by training or working out at the gym. And you can also improve your concentration by working your mind in a similar fashion. And this is true because ascetics and monks have meditated for thousands of years, and meditation is often a task or a skill to improve concentration. So I don't necessarily suggest that you have to go live in a monastery and start meditating in order to improve your concentration, although practicing some meditation can help. I've done it for a while, and it really helped me train myself to get the ability to concentrate. But you can even practice concentration within your studies. So if you find yourself giving up after half an hour of reading, well then why don't you set a stopwatch at 20 minutes and see if you can train yourself to go for 20 minutes without stopping. If you find yourself giving up after a certain amount of time, try to just push yourself a little bit further, so an extra 10 minutes longer than your last time that you were able to concentrate. And by doing this, you can slowly expand the amount of time that you can actually really concentrate on what you're working on. Now, there are some natural limitations to this. Obviously, if the work's very difficult or if it's really mentally intensive, then taking breaks is good too. It's not just good to just concentrate for the longest period of time. But if that's a skill that you're currently lacking, if you feel certainly like you lack those muscles right now, then think of it as a training exercise, and you can progressively train yourself to higher and higher weights or higher and higher periods or intensities of focus. So those are the 2 tips. Make the tasks more active and train yourself to concentrate the way you would train yourself to lift objects. So those are my tips for concentration. Just as a quick summary of where I'm at with the MIT Challenge, I'm entering into the final month. So that means that it's been almost a year for this MIT Challenge. I'm really wrapping up. It's the last few weeks. September is the last month. At the end of September, I plan to be done all of the classes. I finished the last 2 economics classes, so that means I'm working on technically 4 more. I have 605, which is one of the 4, but I'm working on the last of the 6 projects. So this is a project to build a GUI instant messaging application, which has both a client and a server application. So it is using concurrent programming, parallel processing, GUI interfaces, client-server interaction, as well as just software design, because it's building it from scratch as opposed to just doing little bits of scripting. I'm also working on computer graphics, which is also a programming project class. I've done the first few of those, so I did a few fractals, which is some 2D graphics, and now I'm moving into the 3D graphic classes. 3D graphics programming projects. And my other class is Machine Vision, which is a testable class. It's not a programming project class, but it also uses a lot of math. That's also going to be a very challenging class, which I'm going to be writing the final exam for. And then in addition, so I have those 3 classes that I've already been working on for like the last month. I also have the final class, which I'm going to be announcing next week when I start that, which will be the last class for the MIT Challenge. So stay tuned. I'll try to be updating more regularly as we wind down the last month of the MIT Challenge. So thanks for following, and stay tuned.